Hello, peeps and people. I am Bobby Black, Cousin Cheeto, whatever you want to call me, and I'm here to not review, but like just give my opinions on Thor: The Dark World. Okay. Um, I thought it was a fantastic movie, hands down. Definitely better than Iron Man 3. I thought it was better than the first Thor movie in 2011. Don't get me wrong, I love the first Thor. I thought what they did with Thor was fantastic in the first one because when they first announced Thor was going to be in a solo movie, I was like, really? Thor? How are they going to pull that off? And they did! Fantastic! Um, but this movie even rose the bar even more because I felt that so many characters got a good shot, except for Sif. I think she should have been involved in the whole movie, not just kind of like up till a certain point when they were escaping. Sif is hot as hell. When she's Wonder Woman, it's on like Revlon. Anyway, so Thor: The Dark World. I have no bones about this movie whatsoever besides lack of Sif, and that's only because I think she's hot. So I mean, how can you pick Jane Foster over Sif? Holy crap! But good characterization. Good to see Loki back. Of course, everybody loves Loki, and I'm glad they worked him into this as a good guy because he had motive, and I like the motive in this movie. By the way, there's going to be spoilers here, so if you have not seen the movie, unclick and then go see the movie, and then come back and watch my video, so I get 2 views. Anyway, but when Malekith kills Thor's mother, it's like, it hits Loki the hardest, which is weird, but it makes sense because his, you know, it's been her mom, or it's been his mom for like ever, and even though it's not really his mom, you can tell in the movie that he's still like, ooh, he's not happy whatsoever. And when there's one thing you got to worry about. Like when you have a pissed off Thor is one thing. When you have a pissed off Loki is something totally different. And they portray that very well. Like Thor is just like balls to the wall, whatever. Loki's like, oh, I'm gonna get you, and you will regret it. And it is fantastic. I love the way they did this movie. I love the way they set up the characters. I love in the beginning how they had, they were kind of cleaning up the mess from the last Thor movie and the Avengers movie, by going to the different realms and restoring order. Um, the Hamdall was portrayed very well as got some action in this one. Um, Maybe a little bit more than in the last movie, but there was a little bit more of a feel of they were people, not gods in this movie, which in all actuality the Asgardians are aliens. They're just people. They live a long time. They seem to be gods, but technically they're just aliens. Very resilient, very smart, very long-living aliens. Um, but fight sequences were fantastic in the beginning, were fantastic in the middle. The attack on Asgard I thought was really, really, really well done. They covered every aspect of of Asgard in this. When they were attacked, they just, oh man, they really impressed me with all this. The Dark Elves I think were done very well. They were a very dark and sinister enemy. I mean, I can see how some people might be like, oh well, they all they are is this generic evil enemy. Yeah, but you gotta admit, Malekith did kind of hit a pretty hard hitting blow to. He attacked Asgard and he basically made the Asgard defenseless, and then he killed the queen, Thor's mom, Loki's mom. I mean, how much more bad guy do you want? I mean, the only thing you're gonna get more, and I get it, he's not as clever and sly as Loki. So I mean, Loki's like the ultimate bad guy right now, just like the Joker will always be the ultimate DC bad guy. However, I think Malekith did a great job coming in and being a plus player. The one thing that I was hoping that didn't happen, was, that somehow Malekith would die or whatever, get beaten, and then Loki would kind of like take his spot in like X2, where Stryker was the main villain until Magneto got his hands on the Cerebro, and then turned the Cerebro on all humans. I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to go that way. It was going to be all about Loki in the end, where Loki all of a sudden becomes this. crazy, where Loki just is becomes the main bad guy pretty much, kind of like Joker in the Arkham games, like I said in my last video, is where no matter who it's about, whether it's about Black Mask, whether it's about Ra's al Ghul or Hugo Strange, it will always wind up being the Joker. So they didn't do that in this movie, and I was very, 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 very happy that they didn't. Actually, they did a very good job at making it seem like even Loki, had a personal stake in this whole thing. And I can't remember who directed it. I've been trying to think of it so I could praise him. But whoever directed Thor, The Dark World, should be immensely praised. I mean, I really think that he should do the third one. He did such a great job. He brought a different look to the Asgardian realm and the Asgardian world to light. I see exactly where he was going with it. Like the first movie, they were all godlike and majestic and blah 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 blah. And they didn't get, because they were on Earth a lot of the time, they didn't get a chance to dive into the Asgardian, fighting in the Asgardian realms and all that. I mean, you got to see like Jotunheim, Midgard, and Asgard. This one, you got to see several different realms. Granted, you didn't see all of them, but I think you saw at least 4, because they did make a trip to Jotunheim for a very brief stint, which was really funny because they started fighting that dog from the first one that Thor basically knocked through its mouth and whatever. I'm trying to think of any other characters. The Warriors 3, I thought were pretty well done, except for one of the Warriors kind of bowed out in the beginning because he was staying with his people. They had a new, what's his name, Vandrel? I think his name's Vandrel. It's the guy played by Zachary Levi. I think he did a great job replacing the other guy from the first movie. And not Handel. Volstagg. Ray Stevenson. Great job as, I loved him in the first movie. I loved him in this movie. It really seems like the Warriors 3 did not get as, even though people said they were going to get more time in this movie, it didn't seem like they got more time in this movie. It just didn't seem like it to me. Maybe it's just because some of their roles were not as up in your face, but it just didn't. I mean, and Sif, I just really wish that Sif would have been there for the whole ride, because Sif was definitely sizing up Jane Foster on several occasions to kind of like, he likes that mortal? Which I'm like, dude, Thor, you can go after Jane Foster. I'll take Sif all day. I'll give her, I'll go to the War Council with her. But oh gosh, and I mean, just some of the scenes, the curse thing, where this guy he basically became the big brooding bad guy, like one of Malekith's big brooding bad guys. He wasn't over the top, but he wasn't like undersold either. I mean, he was somebody who was to be reckoned with. I mean, he was beating the crap out of Thor until Loki snuck up behind him. I mean, I honestly could have believed that if Loki wasn't there, Thor would have lost. It's kind of what I was believing. The little switch that those two did, Loki and Thor did, and trying to lure Malekith in was really cool. I love when Thor and Loki are walking from the dungeons to where they were going to meet up with Sif and Jane Foster, and Loki's changing into people saying, well, maybe I can give you a better traveling companion, and he's changing into Sif and Jane Foster, and then all of a sudden he turns into Chris Evans as Captain America. And he's like, wow, I can see how you feel this. Oh, it was a great, I thought it was a fantastic cameo by Chris Evans in this movie. And as I said, I warned you earlier, there's spoilers in here. Also, a very, Stan Lee's cameo, of course, was in this movie where he was sitting in a nursing home while Eric Selvig was trying to describe how all the realms were meshing together, converging into a certain convergence, and gravity was going all crazy. But great cameo by Stan. He's like, he's talking about, Selvig was using shoes to describe it, and Stan Lee's just like, can I have my shoe back? Which I thought was great. The final fight was really good. It kind of felt like they undersold the death of Malekith, like his defeat. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was kind of quintessentially your stereotypical evil bad guy. You had dark purposes and you wanted to kill everybody. I just thought it was a great movie. But Malekith was a good bad guy. I was worried that they were going to undersell him and try to bring in Loki, but really, they only did everything very very well, and Malekith lived up to his villainy, and Loki lived up to Loki. So I mean, I'm really excited about this movie. I mean, Iron Man 3, the Mandarin thing with every good superhero villain or every good superhero movie needs a good villain. So I was really, so when they actually came through with a villain on this one, I was totally stoked. I love Malekith. I love Loki for his own little thing. And you guys will see that when you see the movie. I'm running out of time. But grade A movie. Everyone needs to go see it. I'm out.